Okay. Let's see. Okay, how many questions do we have today?
20.
20 something?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, guess let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
GDP.
I got the second choice. And I looked it up in the book, and it was like word for word there.
Yeah, single best. Looks good to me. Okay, number 2. According to the circular flow diagram, GDP can be computed as payment firms make 2 factors of production plus revenue they receive from the sales of goods and services.
I got the third option.
Can be computed as either the revenues firms receive or payments. Yep. Yeah, that one makes sense. Gross domestic product measures
Income and expenditures.
Yes. Both.
All right.
GDP account production equals account production.
Let me look that up. Do you know what that is?
I'm not exactly sure, but I'm guessing income and savings accounts. Production, income minus government expenditures, no income minus export income. Did you have one? I guess.
Income plus savings seems right to me. I'm just searching through the book.
Yeah.
I don't remember reading that.
G counts production equals I don't really see anything about it. GDP.
I don't see anything either. I feel good about going with income plus saving.
Yeah, that one's the only one that, makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. Suppose that an economy produces 20,000 units of good A and sells at $3 a unit and 40,000 which sells at 1. Let's see. Where's my calculator?
Production of good A. I think it would be the second one.
Yes.
Is that what you got?
Because if you compare them to overall, so like B is 40,000 over 40,000 and A is 60, over 40,000 is 3.2. Yes, I agree. Okay. Gross national product. That would be the GDP, right? They're asking for the GDP? Oh, no. What's the difference between the gross national product and the gross domestic product?
I am looking it up right now.
Gross national product.
I remember this from my other econ class, but I can't remember what it was.
I don't think we really learned about gross national product unless gross national product is a product.
Oh, so it's I'm pretty sure it's like all the final products and not like the factors of production or like the input, like steel and stuff like that. If that makes sense.
The difference is how much each term interprets what constitutes as the economy. So what were you saying? G and P is what?
Let me make sure I'm right before I tell you again. I'm actually not sure. What did you get? What did you say?
Gross national product is the total income earned by a nation's permanent residents. It differs from GDP in that it includes income that our citizens earn abroad and excludes earners earn here. For example, when a Canadian citizen works temporarily in the U.S., her production is part of U.S. GDP, but it's not part of the U.S. GNP. Okay.
So we need to subtract $5 and then
Add $9.
well, I think the $9 is already factored in, right? I'm
I
subtracting it from
doubt
the
it because GDP doesn't include the income of citizens abroad, and it
Oh
does.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it does include the income of foreigners in here. So -5 plus 9, and that would be 204.
Yeah.
I think that should be it. Well, that's a good question. A farmer sells 5 pounds of pecans to a Smith's Fresh Pecan for $10. Smith's Fresh Pecan resells 3 pounds for $4.50 per pound. The remaining are shelled and canned and sold for $8. Ooh, taking these transactions, how much is added to the GDP? 5 pounds for $10, so we don't count that. 3 times, if you want to just count the final good. And then 16, so $29.50.
Yeah, if that's what you got, I was still doing the math.
Oh wait, no, it's good. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. 2014, farmer grows and sells $3 million worth of corn to Big Flakes. Big Flakes produces $8 million worth of cereal. 7 million sold. Inventory. 8 million, yeah. Because even though it's not sold, it's still in inventory, counted towards GDP.
Yeah.
Consider 2 items that might be included in GDP. The estimated rental value of an owner-occupied house and the purchase of a newly constructed homes. How are these two items accounted for when GDP is calculated? I don't remember anything about newly constructed homes. I know like the estimated rental value is part of the GDP. But
Yeah, so it looks like the answer choices are splitting them up into either investment or consumption.
Okay. Consumption. Ooh.
I feel like the purchases of constructed homes would be consumption and rental value would be investment, but
Let me see if I can find it in the textbook. Hold on.
yeah. Textbook was like all one page that you could scroll so I could search it.
Sorry, what was that?
I wish I could search this textbook instead of having the pages one by one.
Oh, you can't search the textbook?
No, can you?
Yeah, I just go to the little search bar up at the top most of the time. That gives me what I need.
Oh, nice. I didn't even see that. Thanks
Ta-da!
for that.
Yeah, the McGraw-Hill ones, like it's a lot harder to search the textbook. I really like this one because it like just I think it's a little bit easier. And like you can do
Yeah,
assignments and pull the textbook out on the same page, like on half the screen while you work with on the other. I like it. I think it's a cool one. Okay,
yeah.
consumption is spending by households on goods and services. Goods include durable goods such as automobile and appliances, and non-durable goods such as food and clothing. Services include intangible items. So this is household spending on education is a consumption. I think they're both investments. Investment is the
Um,
purchase of a good called capital goods. Sum of purchase rent residential capital and investment is the sum of purchases of business capital, residential capital, and inventories. Um, business capital. Residential capital includes the landlord's apartment building, a homeowner's personal residence. By convention, the purchase of a new house is one type of household spending categorized as investment rather than consumption. Okay, so the purchase of a new house is the one type of household spending categorized as an investment rather than a consumption. So I think they're both investments.
okay. Um, so renting wouldn't be consumption then?
So it's actually not renting; it's estimated rental
Oh,
value of an owner-occupied house. Yeah.
okay.
Let me look through this one more time and make sure. And even if it was a rental, it would be included in investment, it looks like. Oh, yeah. It says residential capital includes the landlord's apartment building. So, yeah, I think that would stand for both homeowners and renters.
Okay.
Hmm.
What did you find?
Oh, I'm looking at number 10. Have you read that one?
I'm reading it now. I was using the search button in the textbook. I'm so glad you told me that.
Right? So golden.
Yeah. The city of Ann Arbor, Michigan buys a police car manufactured in Germany, and the GDP accounts as transactions included in. Um, Would it be government expenditures and imports? That seems too easy.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's imports, but not government expenditures.
Okay.
You're right. I think it is both. Okay, so the formula is for GDP. Let me go back to it.
It has exports minus imports and
Yeah, so it's net exports. So exports minus imports. But I think that's because imports are included in the rest of the GDP. Or no. No, it's not. I think it is just imports, but not government expenditures.
okay.
I don't know. Maybe I should look into this one.
I think you might be right because positive thing, like it'll trickle down, but if it's not domestic, then it makes sense that it doesn't. Let me.
Let me see if it goes into it a little bit more at the end of the chapter, and I just didn't get to it. Investment, government purchases. There we go. Da da da. Government purchases. Pays a salary or a teacher. Government purchase. But when the government pays Social Security, da 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 da. So there's transfer payments. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Okay, well, this section did not help. Net exports equals foreign purchases minus domestic purchases, imports. The net in net exports refers to the fact that imports are being subtracted from exports because other components include goods and services. For example, suppose a household buys a $40,000 car from Volvo. This transaction increases consumption by $40,000 because the car purchases are part of consumer spending. It also reduces $40,000, and so it cancels out because, in other words, net exports include goods and services produced abroad because these goods and services are included with consumption. So it should be part of the government. So it cancels out because we include it on the government consumption, but we also cancel it out by subtracting it as an import. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Government expenditures and
imports.
Mm-hmm.
Exports or imports?
What's that? Oh,
did you say exports or imports?
Yeah, you're right. Imports. That's right.
Okay, I was about to be super confused.
Myself 1 point there. Thank you.
Yeah. In the economy of Tajikistan in 2015, consumption was 3,000, exports were 1,200, GDP was 8,000, government purchases were 12, and imports were 6.
Oh, algebra.
Let me get a piece of paper. All right, let me know what you get.
I got 3,200.
Okay, me too.
8.
What would you think for this one?
So I think it's just 120. I think because domestic purchases of foreign goods are going to be imports, and
That's what
yeah,
I thought. It just seems
too
too
easy.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it couldn't be foreign purchases of domestically produced goods because that would be an export. So,
Yeah.
if it asked us what the net
Export.
whatever, that would have been 32. So, but this next one, GDP deflator for years, the GDP deflator for years subsequent to the base year measure the change in. And I'm like, what? uh, and
Measure
so
the
I'm trying to read up on
change.
that. As I see, GDP measures the total spending. If total spending rises from one year to the next, at least one of two things must be true. The economy is producing a larger output, or two, goods and services are being sold at a higher price. Okay, that makes sense. We want to separate those two effects. Let's see, to do this. So to do this, economists use a measure called real GDP. Real GDP answers a hypothetical question. What would the value of the goods and services produced this year if we valued these goods and services at the prices that prevailed in some specific year in the past? Oh, that's pretty cool. Real GDP shows the economy's overall production and services change over time. Okay, so let's go to the next section. I think it's the GDP deflator is for years subsequent. Measure the change in real GDP. Okay, but
Deflator.
so real GDP is when we use, I think, the deflator and have the base year. Um, and so we can see without inflation the change in GDP. I think it's the second one. We're able to measure the change in real GDP from the base year that cannot be attributable to a change in nominal GDP, because nominal GDP could be affected by higher prices or inflation, I think. Okay, let me read a little bit more.
Yeah.
So the GDP at current prices is nominal GDP, so that's right. And then to obtain a measure of the amount produced that is not affected by changes in price, or so not in change affected by the change in nominal, we use real GDP.
Okay.
But it's that deflator phrase that's kind of throwing me off. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Because I can see like how to calculate it in the book, but it's
Yeah. Well, let me read the other options. Nominal GDP from the base year that no. Well, GDP. Maybe it's the last one, though. Where's my little search bar? GDP deflator. Oh, it's a ratio. It's a ratio of nominal to real GDP, is what the deflator is.
That's what I was just thinking because real GDP already is not attributable to change in prices, if that makes sense.
So it's actually nominal GDP from the base year.
That can't be attributable to a change in prices.
Oh, that
It's
one
simple.
makes sense. The
It's
third
just the
one?
wording is weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super tricky.
Just takes a second. Yeah, just takes a second to like comprehend it.
Okay, actually, let me read this to you from the textbook.
Okay.
It says the GDP deflator for subsequent years measures the change in nominal GDP from the base year that cannot be attributed to a change in the real GDP. So I actually think it's the first one because that's like word for
That
word.
from the textbook? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with that then.
Do I understand what it means? No, not really, but okay. I'll come back to that one later.
Can't be. Yeah. Can we view these after we submit? I can't remember.
I don't know if I've never actually honestly gone back. But I know after we submit it immediately, we can't, but maybe after the deadline's passed, we can.
Okay. Yeah, because it'd be nice to look at these again.
Yeah, this week would be a good one to look back at. Quantities. Yeah. Which year was this country's nominal GDP the highest?
A hypothetical country.
I guess we're just gonna have to. 5,000 plus 5,000 is 10,000. 6,600 plus 10,200. I think the nominal GDP was the highest in 2017.
Okay. Let's go with that then. 12 times. Yeah, looks right. Country's output grew.
Where's that formula? Nominal. Oh wait, how do you find how much the output grows?
I'm just getting a dollar value for each year right now, and then I'm just gonna calculate the percent change.
Okay.
5 times 150 plus. Okay, that would be 24%, 30%, and 35%. Sorry, I'm just double checking my math really fast.
You're good.
Okay, so I just did the math and I must have done something off because 3 of the answers are right according to my math. So
Oh no.
yeah, but I feel like I did everything right. I don't know.
I did, and it was right, so I went with that one. So I didn't do any of the other ones. So
For the 31.3.
the 31.3, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do too. And then I was like, I'll just check the rest. And I got 42, and then I got 53.6.
So if those 3 are right, then maybe the 3 that we got right are the ones that are wrong. And the other one is right. Okay, so how do we find how much the country's output is growing?
What I thought was we were just getting a dollar amount and dividing the difference. We must be something. The country of Caspia produces only cereal and milk. Quantities and prices of these goods for the last several years are shown below. Huh.
What if we're not supposed to do it as real GDP and we're supposed to do it as nominal GDP? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, weren't we doing it as nominal?
Oh, I thought I was doing it as real.
Well,
I
yeah,
was using the rates from 2015,
uh-huh.
just changing the quantities? Or was I? Okay, hold on. I gotta go back and figure out what
So we got the same answers, and I did nominal. So I did 4 times 100 in 2015 and 6
I
times
think.
180.
Yeah, yeah. I think we need to keep. So we keep the quantities each year. So let's do real GDP and keep the quantities the same, but use the price in 2015 since that's the base year.
Okay.
So which one was the one you didn't get? Was it
It was
the second?
15.4.
Okay, so let's check the real GDP from 2016 to 2017.
Okay. So we're keeping the price the same then, right?
The price is the same as 2015.
Okay.
20 times 4, I think. I hope. Oh, yeah, that one worked.
Okay.
So it was,
Well, that's good.
yeah, okay. So they were trying to see if we would go nominal or. That's funny because I was like, okay, I need to do it as real GDP.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Okay. Well, I'm glad they made the answers like that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you checked.
Um,
Country
a country
reported
reported,
nominal. Go ahead.
yeah, nominal GDP of 115 billion in 2010 and 125 billion in 2009. It also reported a GDP deflator of 85 in 2010 and 100 in 2009. So between 2009 and 2010.
So
How
for
do
more,
we factor in the
go ahead.
deflator? How do we factor in the deflator?
So a deflator, so if it's 100, that means the nominal GDP is the same as the real GDP for that year. So that means, so 2009, the real GDP and the nominal GDP are the same, so there's no inflation. And then if it's above 100, let me go back to the textbook to make sure I say this right. If it's above 100, blah, blah, blah. If it's below, yeah, if it's above 100, then that means the nominal GDP is higher than the real GDP. So that's like inflation. But in this case, our GDP deflator is lower. So our real GDP is lower than our nominal GDP because the GDP deflator is less than 100.
So are you multiplying it by 0.85 then?
Yeah, I don't think we have to multiply anything. Wait, do we? Oh, it's like a formula. Okay, so it would equal the nominal GDP is 125, or I'm sorry, 115. So 115 over the real GDP equals 0.85. So the nominal GDP is 115 divided by 0.85 is going to equal the real GDP, which would be 135. But I don't know how to count if the price level rises too.
Well, the price level would, I think, would just be that it fell because it's lower in 2010 than 2009.
Oh, okay, but okay, you're right. I see it. So the second one?
Would it be that real output and the price level both fell since there's no
Well,
inflation?
the real output is 135 billion, and the real output for 2009 is 125 billion. So real output did,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense now. I was thinking since it was lower than 100, it should be lower, but it's because there's no inflation, so the value of the dollar is worth more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that looks right then.
Okay, Batterland produces waffles and pancakes, but do they make Belgian waffles? That's the important part. Okay, base year is 2013. That's interesting. Base year is 2013, not 2010. Okay, this one might take a little bit extra work. I'm not excited about this.
We're almost done.
Yeah, that's true. True.
Countries inflation
So
from
to find
2010.
the inflation rate, we take the GDP deflator in year 2 minus the GDP deflator in year 1 and divide it by the GDP deflator in year 1. So we find the difference and times it by 100, and that's the inflation rate for year 2. So 2010 will be GDP deflator 1 and 2011 will be GDP deflator 2. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Maybe.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so find the real and the nominal. Got it. We can do this.
What would the real GDP be?
So the base year is 2013. So it's for 2010, it's the quantity stays the same, but you use the price of 2013.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Are you still working on it?
I got 38.2%.
Okay. Then yeah, that sounds good to me then.
You need help doing it?
No, I just probably did my math wrong. I got something, but it didn't make sense.
I know, it was like a lot of little math problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just found the GDP deflator for both of them and then did the inflation formula. So I think it's
Yeah.
right.
That's what I thought I did too. Well,
If you want
but
to do it again, that's fine. I
yeah.
don't mind.
I'm gonna go over a lot of these questions probably after we get off anyway, so we don't
Okay.
need to do that. I appreciate it though.
Yeah. Let's see. Table below contains data for the country of Togogo. So inflation rate, let's see, would be 150 minus 120 is 30 divided by 120. So that would be 25%. But grew or did not grow? So I think we need to find the real GDP and compare the 1975 real GDP to the 1976 real GDP.
Okay. And you said it was 25%, right?
Yeah, because they already gave us the GDP deflator there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go over this chapter a little bit more.
Yeah. It's easy in theory, but
Right? You're like,
actually
oh, well,
harder.
yeah.
2250. Plus, it's kind of stressful, and for me at least in the group meetings, because I've got to think of things a little bit longer. 2250. Sorry, my computer froze for a second.
That's cool.
So I think I got the output grew, but I'm not super sure.
Um, I got, well, so what I did, or what did you do to find it?
Well, the part I'm not sure about is how I got the real GDP.
Okay, so to get the real GDP using the formula, so the nominal GDP divided by the real GDP times 100 equals the GDP deflator. So like if you just rearrange it and do some algebra, and put real GDP on the other side of the formula and the GDP deflator on the other side of the formula and kind of switch spots, the real GDP will equal the nominal divided by,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think I actually did it wrong. I'm looking back at it. So that would be 30,000 divided by 1.2. And that would be 3750, 1.5. Oh, I did do it back. Wait, yeah, so in that case it wouldn't have grown because the real GDP went from 25,000 to 2,500. Yay, nay. What did you get?
How'd you get 25,000?
30,000. Is that 3,000 or 30,000? Oh my gosh, I'm so blind. I'm so blind. I need to get glasses. I was like, how is that one so much bigger? So they're the same, right? 2,500 and 2,500?
Yeah, but that's not an option because that's what I got at first. That's why I wasn't super sure is that they were the same.
Well, then it would
Oh,
just
but
mean that
output did not grow. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I was thinking decrease or increase. So yeah, that's what I got first, and then I redid it, and so yeah,
gotcha.
that
Yeah, that threw me off. I was like, 30,000. I'm like, whatever. I'm just losing it. It's time for a vacation.
yeah,
Uh, okay, great. Now we're both on the same page.
yeah,
So first answer.
yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Inflation.
When I read that, I thought it was like decreasing for some reason.
Yeah.
Um, okay. GDP per person tells us the income and expenditure of the entire economy, right? Oh no, per person. Of the average person, right?
Well, I thought it was the entire economy. Oh, GDP per person, average
That's
person.
what I just did too. Um,
Bless my heart.
it would be average person, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, last one. The underground economy. Um, let me look this up real fast. Can you find that in the book?
I didn't find it in the book, but I just Googled it and it looks like it's just unreported and unrecorded transactions.
Okay, that's what makes sense to me.
Yeah. I was like, well, it definitely can't be like, I guess it could be the amount of criminal. No, I mean, like, it couldn't be criminal activity. That doesn't make sense. That's not a economy. But all right, I think that's it.
Sweet. All right. Thanks so much. Travel safe and have fun.
Thank you. Let's see, what did we missed 3. So if you haven't turned it in already and want to go back and check them out, there's 3.
X.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll see you next week. Have a great week.
You too.